As I was explaining, we were forced to start these or continue this session through Zoom. So hopefully you can see me and you can hear my voice clearly.
Yes, yes, we can.
Excellent. So first of all, I hope that all of you are safe and you are staying home and working from home and taking care of yourself. Unfortunately, this is an uncontrolled situation. So the best way to avoid is to keep yourself isolated. So hope everything is good. If anybody has any issues, please put it in our group. We all are there to support each other. So let me start with that introduction and we can go to the verses. In fact, 2 weeks back, um, we suspended our session, and where we suspended was at the verse 17. So essentially, we started listening to the basic teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. As I explained multiple times, the basic problem addressed by Bhagavad Gita is not a solution for Arjuna or not an individualized solution for an individual. But Krishna was trying to address the basic human problem. The basic human problem of getting, means the basic problem is that I am subjected to sorrow. I am subjected to suffering. So how do I address that basic problem? So to address that, Krishna started the teaching at the highest level. He started the teaching by clearly differentiating what exactly is the different dimensions of a living being. So we have seen very clearly that every living being has three major dimensions. One is a temporary body which is subjected to birth, growth, finally decay and death. So that's what typically we associate ourselves as. It could be a Rajesh, or it could be a Mahesh, or it could be a Arnab. Whatever it is, all of us have a temporary beginning with a physical body, and there is a change for that body, and finally there is an end of that body. What Krishna was trying to explain there was, yes, that is true, but you do have an existence beyond that temporary dimension. Though there is a subtle body which gives me the personality of myself. We analyze this based upon the analogy of an hardware and software. The hardware is the physical body, whereas the software that gives a personality of the hardware is known as the subtle body. And the physical body ends, the subtle body transmigrates or moves to a different hardware system. So we saw that. And also we saw that there is a third dimension which is beyond this physical and subtle body, which is called Atma. And Atma, for that Atma, there is no birth or death. It is eternal. So this is what we have seen. In the last two verses, we saw, verse 16, we saw that there is every object has two orders of reality. One is called the absolute and the other one is relative. We analyze this by taking the example of a pot and a clay, a gold ornament and gold, and we also saw like waves and water. We saw that the real existence of a golden ornament is gold. The gold ornament was born at a certain point of time. It got existence at a certain point of time. And finally, if you change that gold ornament into another ornament, it ends. But the existence of that gold ornament was gold, which was existing before the ornament and after the ornament. So in our essence, in our true nature, we are Atma, or that absolute reality, which gives us existence, and there is no change for that Atma. And we saw that there is no destruction for that Atma at any point of time. This is what we saw in the previous class. And I was even joking. Shankaracharya in his commentary was telling that even God cannot destruct that Atma completely. So this is what we saw in our previous sessions. So having said that, let's move ahead further and try to understand a little bit more about Atma. So let's
अन्तवन्त इमे देहाः नित्यस्योक्ता शरीरिणः अनाशिनो प्रमेयस्य तस्मादुध्यस्व भारत.
Antavanta ime dehaha nityasyokta sharirinaha anashino aprameyasya tasmat yujjasva bharata. So the English translation you can see, right? These bodies destined to expire, right? All possesses an eternal soul or an Atman. And what is the nature of that Atman? Indestructible, beyond thought. Therefore, O Arjuna, go ahead and fight. Let's try to understand this a little bit more in detail. So the first verse is Antavanta ime dehaha. They say like these deha means, we already talked about this in detail. Deha means dahana yogya, that which is subjected to burning or destruction. So for these bodies, so when you look at yourself, there are two dimensions as I explained earlier. One is a temporary dimension which is dependent upon the body, and there is a permanent dimension which is the Atma. So if you really look at the body, this bodies, antavanta ime dehaha, Krishna tells, this bodies has a definite beginning and a definite end, for sure. So this bodies have a definite beginning and a definite end. Nityasyokta sharirinaha. Shariri means that which is within the sharira is known as shariri. So the Atma or the truth within the body, that is nityaha. Nityaha means there is no destruction for that. So the body has an end, but that which is within the body, or that which gives existence to the body, that do not have an end at all. So I'll just give the literal meaning and we can go over the deeper analysis a little bit more detail, right? So the first sentence say Antavanta ime dehaha, this bodies has an end. And whereas the shariri means the Atma or the essence of that body, that is nityaha, that is permanent. And then couple of characteristics of this Atma is being explained. Anashino aprameyasya. Anashinaha. Nashaha means destruction. Anashinaha means what? It is not subjected to any destruction. Basically, it's a repetition of the previous verse. And then Krishna tells aprameya. Prameya means it is something that can be known. For example, means you are seeing me. It is known. You are seeing a computer. You can know through your sense experience. Aprameya means that which is not subjected to any means of knowledge. So the Atma, which is the essence in you, you cannot know that Atma just like you see a flower, or just like you understand an equation, or just like you hear something. The usual means of perception and inference would not reveal the Atma. It is different. So that is what is aprameya. Anashinaha means it is not subjected to destruction. So having known the reality of yourself, right? The death is not an end of your existence. So knowing that, tasmat yujasya bharataha. Therefore, go and do your duty, because you don't have to worry too much, because even now, right, there are so many things happening. Our life, whatever we can do, we need to definitely do to keep our life and the life going. But don't worry too much about the fact that there is going to be a death tomorrow. That death is going to be there for everybody. So move ahead based on this knowledge. Just get some courage. Just get some conviction that you will continue to exist even after this death. So that is the literal meaning of this verse. So once again, Krishna tells, Antavanta ime dehaha. This deha, this body is definitely, it is bound by time. Means it could be 10 years or it could be 100 years, but nothing more than 120 years, as we always joke. But the essence in you, the Atma in you, that is Nityaha. And what is the other characteristics of this Atma? It is Anashinaha. Don't worry that somebody can destroy you forever. It's impossible. Anashinaha. The true nature of yourself, nobody can do anything. It is beyond destruction. And don't means understand that this real nature of yourself, you may not realize right now because it is aprameyaha. Aprameyaha means it is not known through the usual means of perception. So that is aprameyaha. And therefore, do what needs to be done. So this is the essence of this verse. Let's go through a little bit further. So there are two sentences. The first sentence is, these bodies has an end, but the essence of this body or the honor of this body or that which lies within this body is indestructible, known as anashinaha, not an object of knowing, and that is what the essence is. And then the second sentence is, therefore do what needs to be done. So this is what the essence of this verse. So before that, let me go to the little bit more detail, and then once it is done, we can have a quick discussion on anybody has any questions. So the first thing is eternal. It is not external. It is eternal nature of Atma. So I just saw a typo. So Krishna just repeats the idea that the Atma in you, the self in you, is nityaha. Nityaha means eternal. Eternal. It's not external. It is eternal. The physical body in me, it is temporary and subjected to change and eventually the destruction. So the Atma is eternal and changeless. So eternal, indestructible, and incomprehensible. These are the three characteristics of that Atma is given. So just go back to the same example I've been talking earlier, right? So earlier I was talking the same example. In that same example, what I was trying to explain was, when you have a golden ornament and gold, you can say that that ornament is temporary because it was created 5 years back, and after 5 years I may change that chain to a bangle. So the life of that chain was temporary. It had a beginning, it had an end, and in between what happens? It is subjected to decay, means it can break, it can change its shape, it can change its characteristics, all that is possible. But that change is completely limited to that names and form, which is the ornament. Whereas the gold remains always. There are, just like that, means there is multiple dimensions in your personality. One dimension is that, remember that computer, you brought a computer, you imported all the software into that computer, you're working on that computer. Finally, at the end of the life, if something goes away, nothing happened to that software and nothing happened to the electricity. So the Atma that gives existence in you, just like that gold is giving existence to that golden ornament, the Atma that gives the existence in you, that makes you who you are, that Atma is not subjected to change. One point I just wanted to understand here is that which is not subjected to change is not the soul, but the Atma, because the soul also has a beginning. It could be much longer than the physical body, but the soul has a beginning at the time of the creation or at the time of this universe, when the universe got manifested. And from time to time, it moves from one body to the other according to the laws of karma, but eventually the soul will have an end. So whenever Krishna is going to refer something as eternal and changeless, it is that Atma. And here also, couple of things grammatically, you can see that Krishna used the word ime deha. He used a word plural to indicate the bodies. Whereas for indicating Atma, he used a singular word. Meaning, there is only one Atma for the entire universe. Means there is one separate Atma for me from yours. So it means you don't have a separate Atma from that of mine. Second point I wanted to mention is the word used is deha to indicate for the body. So deha means dehana yogyaha, a temporary instrument which helps me to manifest my existence in the universe. That is what is deha. Whereas shariri means that is within the body. So when you say within the body, don't think that there is another entity sitting inside the body. Of course, there is an entity sitting inside the body, but that is subtle body. Atma is not like that. When you say that the Atma is within the body, it is like that. It is just like saying that gold is within the golden ornament. Gold is there within the golden ornament because the existence of the golden ornament is provided by gold. Just like that, the existence for the physical body is provided by Atma. So that is another thing. And three characteristics of Atma is given. One is eternal, the second one is indestructible, and the third one is incomprehensible. So let's see that a little bit further. So the nature of Atma. So the word Shariri, meaning that which is within the body. So that is Atma. So just like a clay is there within the pot, Atma is there within the body. So the whole human being, the existence is provided by Atma. And Shariri means it is the special name used to indicate Atma, because that which gives the existence of a body is known as Shariri, whereas Deha means it is the physical body. And the word Shariri is referred to as eternal, immutable, immeasurable Atma. That is the definition of Shariri. And these attributes suggest that the Shariri is nothing but the Paramatma. There is only one Atma. And the bodies are perishable, because you can see in the slide itself, you can see that when you born, the body is constantly subjected to change. Like from an infant, you grow to a child, and from a child you become a teen. From a teen you become a youth, a middle-aged person, old-aged person. Finally, you can see that it is dying. But all that the time, that body is sustained, and that body's existence is provided by Atma. So that is why the bodies are perishable, and that is why there is an anta for the body. And that is why in our literature, Lord Yama is known as Antaka. He who put an end to this body is known as Antaka. So that he who brings an end, a temporary end to this body, is Antaka. So you might be seeing, like, even the body of Krishna and Christ, they also eventually came to an end. Rama, Krishna, Christ, all the prophets, all Buddha, everybody's body is subjected to change, and everybody's body is subjected to an end. You can see Christ as a small boy. You can see, means up to 12, you have the history. But from 12 to 30, you have a totally different Christ coming out of it. So you can see a lot of change in his body. Just like that Krishna, you have the baby Krishna, and that baby Krishna has grown up into an adult later point of time. So the bodies are subjected to change, whereas the essence in the body is not subjected to change, and it is permanent. One more point. This Atma is known as, it is incomprehensible. Prameya means that it is the subject or the object of knowledge. When I'm trying to learn, say, physics, the third law of motion, what is going to happen? I say that is the Prameya. And there is a means of knowledge known as Pramana, and with the Pramana, I learn the Prameya. So all the knowledge usually takes place between two different means. One is called the direct perception. The second one is called inference. And here, this Atma, even though the Atma is the very subject by using which you are trying to learn this knowledge, the Atma is not a subject which can be learned through the usual means of perception, which is the direct perception or inference. So that's why it is known as Aprameya. Aprameya means it is unknowable, or it is not known through the usual means of perception. That's all it means. That doesn't mean that it cannot be known. We do have a technique. We do have a means of knowledge to know and understand Atma, which is known as the Vedanta. Vedanta is the Pramana, or this teaching. Only thing Krishna wanted to highlight here is that just when suppose you want to know about a flower, you just need to open the eyes in front of the flower. The knowledge will take place. So just like that, you cannot understand Atma. So once again, the recap. So therefore, Krishna differentiated between what is permanent and what is not permanent. So Krishna is saying that you should be doing what needs to be done. Face the battle of life. Tomorrow means don't think that you will come to an end. No, means what comes to an end is only a temporary thing. So and once again, this is not a commandment to fight. This is a call for each one of us to face our life situation diligently. Like, don't think that tomorrow I will be coming to an end. So there is no need to worry. Like, this life will continue, means this essence in you will be always there. This is a big assurance given by Krishna, saying that the fear of death, most of us fear about the death because we think that this is the existence is coming to an end, and every being in the world is craving for its existence. And I mean, there were experiments like even a unicellular organism always strives for its existence. Like that, it is true that every being is strive for its existence. And when we think that our life comes to an end, it is such a big fear. And thus, through these verses, through these teachings, Krishna is trying to lift our confidence higher. At least, yes, I may not have this body, I may not have this personality, but the essence in me is continuing. So let me recap, and then if you have any questions, we can do. The first one is that the body, sorry, this is not the right verse. The body is, so there is an end. In the summary, there are 3-4 things we covered. First thing is that these bodies are temporary. They will have an end for sure. They have a beginning, they have an end for sure. And the essence in me is always eternal, and it will continue always. That is the second point. And the essence in me, or the Atma, or my true nature, it is anashinaha, meaning it is not subjected to any destruction. And it is aprameyaha, meaning it is not known through the usual means of knowledge. And that is why you are not knowing that Atma at this point of time. And when you come to know this Atma, your fear of death will completely vanish. That is what Krishna is saying. And eventually that will reduce all the sufferings completely. So that is the key point highlighted. So just go and do what needs to be done. So let me pause here. Any questions? I hope you are all clear with these different dimensions of a living being, because I think we spend a lot of time, we try to explain what is the temporary aspect of me and what is that permanent aspect of me. And in between, there is a relative, meaning there is another temporary object, which is the subtle body. So there is a physical body, there is a subtle body, which is known as soul, and there is a the permanent, eternal Atma. So this is what the essence of this teaching. And in the next few verses, Krishna is just trying to reiterate this immortality of the Atma. And again, please don't misunderstand Atma as the soul. The soul is different from Atma. Any questions?
No.
Excellent.
ययेनं वेत्ति हन्तारम् यश्चैनं मन्यते हतम् उभौ तौ न विजानीतः नायं हन्ति न हन्यते.
Krishna tells, he who takes the Atma as as a doer, and he who takes the Atma as an enjoyer, like if I think that I killed somebody, no, absolutely, the Atma is not doing any action at all. Every action is initiated by the physical body and subtle body together. The Atma is not the reason for any action. The Atma is not the enjoyer. The Atma is not the sufferer, right? So, for example, the electricity powers the light, the projector. I gave the same example. You can put a spiritual movie and you can put a nonsense movie. When the spiritual movie is playing on the screen, The electricity cannot claim that, okay, I am more spiritual. And when a wrong movie or a bad movie is playing on the screen, the electricity cannot claim that it is bad. These good and bad is belonging to the body, physical and subtle body. But Atma is beyond that. The Atma will not kill anybody, and the Atma is not subjected to killing. Because suppose person A decide to cheat person B. Who decided to cheat? It is not the Atma. It is the physical body, subtle body combination. Because if I want to cheat another person, who makes that decision? It is that ego, or it is that wrong tendencies or the negative tendencies in me is going to make that decision. And what exactly is that? Where exactly that negative tendencies belongs to? It is a combination of your mind and body, not the Atma. So the Atma is beyond any action. It is neither the subject nor the object of any action. Please understand that, because it just gives the existence. Whatever comes in front of it, it eliminates. So the Atma means, this is very important to know. The problems are always belonging to the body, not to the Atma. So that is what this verse means. So, yayenam vekti hantaram, the one who thinks that this, yenam means this means the Atma. Here, because we have been talking about the Atma in the last few verses. So the one who thinks that this Atma is a killer, the one who takes this Atma a killer, ya enam veti hantaram. Veti means known, yaha means whoever, enam means Atma, hantaram means the killer or the slayer. The one who takes this Atma as a killer. Killer means this is in the context of a war. But in our case, what? Right now I am doing something. So he who takes the Atma as the decision maker or the subject or the doer, right? And then he tells, Yaschainam manyate hatam. The one who thinks that I am means this Atma is subjected to killing. And who thinks that it can be killed. So the person who thinks that the Atma is the doer, or the Atma is the enjoyer, or the Atma is the subject and the Atma is the object. Krishna tells, Ubhau tau na vijanito. Ubhau means both. Na vijanito. Krishna tells both of them do not understand, or both of them do not understand the fact that Nayam hanti na hanyate. This Atma is not subjected to killing, or it won't kill anybody. It means it is the subject or object. In other words, Atma it is not the deciding factor for the behavior of a person. It's just the existence. That is very important. So you cannot blame Atma for our wrongdoing. The wrongdoing are subjected to my own creation. The electricity cannot be congratulated for the high performance of a computer, and the electricity cannot be blamed for the presence of a malware in a computer. Whatever that is there, it will be executed. So that is very different. So we need to understand that, because a lot of people may ask, if I am divine, why all these negative thoughts comes to me? That negative thoughts are not Atma. They are the creation, or they are the misunderstanding, or those are the product of my own temporary body. So in other words, the physical body, the thoughts, emotions, and all my likes and dislikes, that is temporary and that belongs to the body. The Atma is beyond that. So Krishna tells, he who thinks that I am the subject or I am the object, he is not, both of them do not understand the true nature of the Atma. So before, let me proceed further. All of you might have heard the famous poet, Emerson. Emerson is one of the famous poet in this particular country. He has used this particular words of Gita, was fascinated him a lot. and he has written a poem exactly quoting the same verse. Literal translation of this verse is, you can see that in a poem written by Emerson. So that is the beauty. This is inspired, means the Emerson was very much inspired by this verse. So that's just an FYI. So the meaning is Yayenam means Hantaram Veti, the one who knows this Atma to be the killer. And second sentence is Yatscha Enam Hanyate Manyate. So the one who considers this Atma is to be killed. So he who considers the Atma as a killer, or he who considers the Atma as the killed, Upau, now they both do not know. They both do not know. What they do not know, this Atma is not killed or it can be killed. So that is very important. So this Atma cannot be killed or it is not subjected to any killing. This is what the essence of this verse. So the point is that this verse is a direct, Krishna directly copied this verse from one of the Upanishads, Katha Upanishad. So Katha Upanishad has this verse exactly like this. So Krishna tells, just copied this and put this little bit minor tweaks Krishna made. So he just lifted and copied this from Katha Upanishad. And one reason for this copying is to prove that Gita is aligned with the original Vedic tradition. This teaching is not a teaching Krishna has created. He has created this teaching based upon the original Vedic teaching. And the word Enam in this verse refers to Atma, which is self-evident. Because the Atma, everybody knows our existence. Only thing is that we don't perceive it correctly. That's it. And what is the nature of that Atma? It is Sat. Sat means that which is not subjected to change at any point of time. And it is the basis of truth. And it is the basis on which all the Asat, the body and everything, comes to an existence. And the nature of that Atma is Nityaha and Aprameyaha. So Krishna tells this Atma Akartaha and Atma Abhoktaha. So this is the 2 point highlighted by this verse. So this Atma, Krishna tells, it is Akartaha, it is not a subject of any action, or it is not an agent of any action, or it is not an object of any actions. So this is the summary, right? This bodies, now this is the previous one. Here it means, this is the thing. Yaenam veti hantaram, the one who considers the Atma as a killer, the one who considers the Atma as a killed, both of them do not know that the Atma is neither an agent nor an object of the action. So from verse 12 onwards, Krishna is talking about the difference between the temporary and permanent. So he tells clearly that typically we identify with this temporary. So how can we identify ourselves with that, our own true nature, which is that higher self, which is the Atma, and that is going to help us to be more strong, and it is going to be grounded in facts, and it is going to give us enormous strength to face the situation around us. So that is the goal. So as a recap, actually I just enumerated all the characteristics Krishna wrote so far. So let me go back. Let's talk about that. This is the nature of the Atma. Sorry. Okay. So the first one is Atma Nityaha, eternal. Atma is eternal even when the body is born and gone. Even when the body is born and gone, the Atma continues to exist. That is number one. Because Atma Nityaha, that is the first point we need to understand. See, beyond this temporary existence, there is a permanent aspect. We all know that, right? So our death is not a final full stop of our existence. That is number one. Second one is Atma Satyaha. the true reality is Atma, because just like the gold is the true reality or Satya beyond, means in front of the, for all the golden ornaments, like that Atma or the consciousness or the Brahman is the truth of all the living being. That is the second point. So Atma Nityaha, Atma Satyaha, and the third point is Atma Sarvagataha. Because we saw that, right? Avinashitu tat vithim, ena sarvamidam tadam, vinasham avyasyasya nakaschit kartum arhasi. We saw that in verse 16. This Atma is all pervading, because everything in this universe is nothing but a manifestation of this Atma. So the computer in front of me, living and non-living being, everything is nothing but a manifestation of this Atma. Then the Atma is Ekaha. There is only one Atma. Everything else is a manifestation of this Atma. There is only one Atma. Then this Atma is Aprameyaha. Aprameya means the Atma is not comprehensible through the usual means of perception. And then in this particular verse, we saw that this Atma is Akartaha and Apoktaha. It is neither an agent nor a it's neither the agent nor object of any action. And finally, the Atma is Nirvikalpaha. It is free from all modification. That is what we will see in the next verse. So that's the summary. I didn't want to cover too many verses online because you will lose the connection and it is not as effective as the in-person class. So we will cover two verses. So far, let me just do a quick recap of whatever we have covered so far. The first chapter of the Gita gives us the problem statement. As I explained earlier, if you really look at any project in the modern world, it is one of the key definition is a project is always designed to address a unique problem. And it is extremely important for us to understand what exactly is that nature of the problem we are trying to solve. Otherwise, the project won't be effective. So we looked at one typical prototype of human being, that is Arjuna, who is highly skilled, who was ready to face a critical situation of his life, how he broke down completely in front of the situation. So that is presented in chapter 1, and you can see the same subject covering up to chapter 2 up to verse 10. So we saw that from that we came to know that each one of us are subjected to sorrow and suffering. Today, what exactly is the cause of our suffering? It could be a variable from time to time and person to person. As I explained, for a small kid, it could be a toy, and for an adult, it could be a different means. So that's the key problem here. So we are subjected to sorrow. How do I get out of that problem? Because there is so much of vulnerability in me from doing what needs to be done and finding the best version of myself. The biggest challenge for me is I am subjected to sorrow and suffering, and as a result, I cannot move ahead and do what needs to be done. I quoted the example of that pilot who landed the flight in the Hudson River. If he was subjected to anxiety, if he was subjected to worry at that point of time, he could not have done what he did at that point of time. So we all need that skill, that discipline, and that ability to go beyond the pressure and pain and do what needs to be done. So how can I get that? So that is what the teaching given by Krishna. So the biggest fear for any individual is the fear of death. So that's why from verse 11 to 25, Krishna is going to talk about our true nature. And for introducing that topic, he explained us that each one of us has 3 dimensions in our personality. And the most obvious dimension is the physical dimension, and typically that is what I always identify with. And that dimension is the physical body, but beyond that there is a subtle body, which means that which transmigrates from one body to the other at the time of death. So we saw that. And then we talked about one more dimension, which is Atma, which is eternal, which is not subjected to change, which is all-pervading, which is the truth, and which is completely not easily known. So that is the third dimension we saw. So he spent a lot of time from verse 12. He started explaining. He said, there was not a time when I was not there or when you were not there in its true existence. And on verse 13, Krishna tells that what? Then what is he gave a simple example to differentiate between what is the body and what is the Atma. He said like this body which is subjected to change, that is the physical aspect, and there is something which keeps unchanging when all these changes happens. So that we saw. And then he explained, right, the problem, like if you really think that you will come to an end, no, but there is one aspect which is the physical body which is subjected to change, and your pleasure and pain when you leave will come as long as that body arises. And how do you handle that? You have to handle that by developing a discipline or a skill called titiksha. Titiksha means sahanam sarvadukhanam apratikara purvakam chinta vilaparahitam sa titiksha iti uchyate. So that is how you have to deal with the situation. And then he started explaining a little bit further on this nature of the Atma. He tells this Atma, it's all pervading and it is not subjected to any decay or destruction. So that is what the topic. And in the next few verses are also exactly like that. Krishna is going to give the nature of that Atma. And then he will come down to our level and try to explain some of the moral reason, some of the ethical reason, some of the social reason for doing what needs to be done. So first he is going to negate what is that fear of death. And then he is going to say that, no, means when you live in this society, there are certain aspects you need to consider, because means this is how you need to live. So that part is explained. And then finally, he's going to tell us, how can I develop this mental discipline so that I'm not falling down in front of the situation? And that technique is known as yoga. So we'll see that one by. So please sit and pray to everybody and tell everybody to sit at home. Right now it's a crisis, I feel, because every day the numbers are going up, but eventually we will get out of this. And just be calm, and any situation can be faced later. Don't worry too much about the economic recession and the downstream impact. Means there will be a way to face it. So just be strong. And I would say, since you are sitting at home, spend some time in studying Gita, because this is the ultimate thing that can give you the enormous strength. It can help you to think positive, means send positive vibrations to everybody. And whatever is your profession, try to improve your skills whenever you sit at home.
Yeah,
I would say like this change, meaning when change, it is inevitable. Changes are inevitable. So later point of time, Krishna tells, before a change is imposed on you, that is at the individual level, right? The Atma is changeless, but the body or the life is changing. And that change, don't think that you will be, the world will be stagnant. So the skills you may have may not be good enough for tomorrow. So try to learn new skills. Means if you're a software professional, try to learn new skills. If you are a different professional, try to understand that what would be the ideal thing I can learn when I'm sitting home and working from home. If anybody has any support or help required, please put that in our group. All of us are together. Anything we can do, we'll be glad to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody has any other comments? So we will continue these type of sessions. I don't know how long we will be like this, but I didn't want the classes to be stopped completely. I was initially thinking that, okay, we may do 2-3 weeks, another textbook, but then I realized that no, this is going to be at least for a few months, at least 1 or 2 months, it will be like this. So that's why we try to continue. So every week we will cover 2 verses and we will have some discussion. And I think in 1 or 2 weeks we will be tuned with this approach.